answer the question, how effective is the combination of your main product and ancillary tasks? I'll be using these extremely dangerous chemicals as metaphors for the elements of my main product and ancillary tasks that created a synergy, a relationship between the three, so that my audience can easily identify the product when looking at two advertisements. This may seem a little bit crazy, but bear with me. So we'll be starting with this red toned liquid, although it's more like brown now, here in this little flask. This represents the mise-en-scène used in my three products to create the synergy. I wanted to find something really unique about my short film and use it as a continuous symbol throughout my products. I found this picture perfect bird cage, shot loads and loads of DSLR shots of it, and my old woman actor Aria, so I could have this sharp focused image for my film poster or magazine spreads. I then proceeded to use the bird cage in my film, with it being a symbol for Aria's mind. I then looked at other mise-en-scène elements I could add into my photo shoots for my ancillary products, and found I loved the idea of using the rose that the lover gives to Aria as a symbol of their love. Yeah, the rose is also another thing I use for symbolism, to make it crystal clear throughout my production that the rose and this homosexual relationship is the most important thing in the production. Also, I am actually quite sorry for the lighting in here. It's synthetic. I had to shut the blinds behind me. But in any case, Dr. Lucy to the rescue. I'm gonna make this go boom! So I'm gonna add in my mise-en-scène as well as other elements, by the way. I'm gonna add this in. See here. Ooh, I'm nervous. That's the first component of my production, which has allowed me to make a synergy, the mise-en-scène, represented by brown liquid. How ironic. I'm gonna take my head off, by the way, because I want to be kind of Lara Croft, scientist, rather than Grey's Anatomy. So yeah, that's how mise-en-scène. So this other big red liquid thing, which looks kind of pink, it's quite cool, look at it. It's cool and it's pink and it's dangerous. This is going to represent the fonts I use. Now, across all of my three texts, I followed conventions of each text in isolation, which, not gonna lie, might be a mistake. And this is because I needed to create a synergy throughout my productions. And one of the ways to do this is commonly through fonts. I used the sans serif font in my magazine spread and film poster, as these follow typical conventions of magazine spreads and film posters. But when it came to my actual production, I thought that the serif font looked bomb. I shouldn't be saying bomb around this amount of chemicals and whilst inside a school, but still, it looked great. I used different fonts, but actually it didn't go that badly. I loved how I used a vector mask in my actual production in After Effects to create the sans serif either cage. With piano music, you don't want a big sans serif font. It doesn't work. It looks out of place, and I wanted to create a fluency within my film alongside fluency in my entire three products. So I did make maybe a bit of a boo-boo on the fact that I didn't use a continual theme throughout my products with the fonts, but in fairness, I think in isolation, each of the products, they work solely. But because this question is about how effective was the combination of your ancillary and main products, I'd say that this wasn't effective. It didn't create fluency. But still, I'm gonna add in this liquid because I do kind of want to make a reaction. But this is the fonts. The red represents danger. In it goes. It's just made a weird rhubarb colour, but it's all okay. Here we go. Okay. So, to our rhubarb mixture, rhubarb rumble, if you will, we're going to add this fluorescent green stuff. Look at this, it's fluorescent. Boom! I'm a beauty guru. Except instead of beauty, I'm science. I'm a science guru. So basically, this represents the cropping and the composition of my shots and the way I framed Aria and represented her across all three media texts. So I used the cropping and composition of Aria, specifically doing close-ups and really grasping the intimacy of her face, as especially around the eye area where I drew this really sharp focus to, so it was almost intimidating, you know? I wanted Aria to be represented as intimate, close, intimidating, having an impact, showing emotion. That is the key representation throughout all of this. So, I feel like an aeroplane pilot person. Anywho, so yeah, I did this with Aria's face with the close-ups, and the only production piece I didn't use Aria's face for was the film poster, and that was because when I looked at my style model, a film called Birds, funnily enough, it didn't have any faces on it. It just had a black silhouette with birds everywhere. And now I didn't want a person in my film poster because I wanted it to be like really metaphorical, because I found that when I looked at a lot of film posters, the main key concept was that there was a metaphor about the film in it. You know, for the genres that I looked at, you know, drama, psychological thriller, romance, short films, etc. So I actually used the bird cage as the centerpiece and then cut out individually birds that I photographed, you know, silhouettes of birds which then dispersed and flopped up, creating this really dark, intense, intimidating effect where it felt like the birds were kind of flying towards you, and I, being scared of birds, found this quite scary, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I created this synergy of Aria's face being like cropped and having this really intimate composition. So they created the same representation across two of my texts, the magazine spreads and my film. I thought it was really, really successful, the combination of them, as I'm creating the same representation, I'm weaving them in. And this is successful in the sense that it does its purpose. The magazine double page spread is fulfilling its purpose and it's successfully combined with my product. Upon reflection, I perhaps should have used part of Aria's face in my short film poster and maybe looked at different editing techniques so that it's less visible. For example, if you use the effect overlay, you can often find that it makes it a lot less visible and more transparent and blended into the entire product, you know, the entire media product. So perhaps I could have done that and I could use that in my improvements. However, I am very happy with all three pieces as solo articles, and together I think they do work well because they're using the same colour palettes, the same mise-en-scène, you know, the same representations. I think they are very effective overall as a combined product. Anyway, so this fluorescent green, super cool, magically made, fluorescent, boom, pow! This fluorescent bubbly product, not done by washing up liquid. This is a highly scientific and explosive and dangerous substance. Ready? Ooh, that's actually quite cool. So yeah, now this has made something that resembles peach iced tea, but I will not be tasting it to tell if it tastes like such. So we've looked at the cropping, which has been the fluorescent stuff. We have looked at the mise-en-scène, which was the weird red brownie stuff. And we have looked at the font, which was the really beautiful red-coloured, again, stuff. I'm not a scientist, I don't know the words for these things. I just did this and something happened, okay? So in my short film and my ancillaries was looking at style models in order to contribute to this overall representation that I wanted to create. One of the key things that I found was that all the different style models had very different things, different properties about them, because I didn't look at one like short film, film poster, magazine spread of the same product. I looked at different things, which in hindsight, perhaps I should have used like 3 different style models where they've done the same thing, like the same short film, film poster, magazine spread, 3 times over basically. However, when I had a look at short film posters, I didn't find a lot, and I didn't find the short film, funnily enough, that linked back to the film poster when I looked. I also didn't find any magazine spreads that were, you know, published about a short film that linked directly to a short film. I couldn't find a lot of them. However, there are still some out there, and I could have done this. I think that would have made it a lot more effective. But when looking at the effectiveness of how I combined all of my products, I think I used different elements from different genres for my Franken film. As referenced in question 1, my Franken film is amazing. It's a different mix of loads of different genres and it gets like bleh. But it's a very successful Franken film, you know? I had a look at different genres and found that I liked elements from each genre of the style models I was looking at. So for example, like I loved the elements of the romance genre in the style models for my short film, but I didn't like the romance elements in double page spreads or double page magazine reviews of romance films, because typically it focused on not even the love that the two characters share, it just focuses on, like, you know, how big of a blockbuster it is and the storyline and all of that, and I don't want to focus on that in my film review. This is the real media text that I use in my short film, and how I used all the influences of real media text to create successful products throughout, but not necessarily together. I understand that this question is about the combination of my ancillary tasks and my main product, but I found that when combining them, they don't work as like a 3-piece set, because each different, you know, piece works for an audience. For example, if you're looking at a magazine review of a short film, perhaps you're into short films, but mainly you're going to be into reviews, aren't you? It's the demographic and the psychographic you're looking at. And I think trying to box all of them into the same psychographic of short film doesn't work that way. Because quite often a lot of short film watchers are through social media. The audience of short films is typically, you know, people who like to look at the important issues in life, because that's what a lot of short films do. So yeah, I think you've got to kind of like separate them and look at them in isolation as well as together. Because together they do work with the different technical elements of them. And also, they also have a fluency between them, with the colour palettes especially. This is the real media text and how each influenced my production, and this is just going to go straight in there. And again, it's turned it a darker rhubarb colour. Anyway, we're going to stir this. Right, I'm just going to shake this in a bit more, Shizzle, shizzle, it's growing. It's alive! So this, ladies and gentlemen, is a true representation of how I have combined and more. This, ladies and gentlemen, is my Franken film. This really cool, original piece that is the combination of my main product and ancillary tasks. Yes, I could have done things differently to make it so that the combination was a little bit more successful in terms of synergy and creating that fluent line. But actually, I really like the combination of my main product and ancillary task, because it's got the same representation of Arya's mind as like this dementia cage throughout it, and I like that.